Hi Blake, my name's Jessica, and I know you asked me a couple of questions about different things for your documentary, so I'm doing this video for you, and you have permission to use it however you see fit, as long as you don't edit it to make it sound like I said something I did not say, okay? Or else I'll fly out there and get you. Just kidding, but for real. Okay, so I hope I'm doing this in the right format that you wanted, but if not, just let me know and I'll redo it. So, and sorry about the hair. I've been driving in my truck with the windows down. So the first question you asked me was if there's such thing as white supremacy or white privilege, and to explain my beliefs on that. I believe that there is. It's hard to explain because I'm obviously white. I'm Italian, but I think I fit into the dominant culture. I was born and raised in Orange County, California. It's an extremely affluent area. Not that I grew up rich, but I grew up with enough, with plenty. And I also did not grow up with or around a lot of black friends, or you know, maybe most of the races that I was around as a child were probably Asian and Hispanic in my area. Then I moved when I was a little bit older, and I was in an area that was completely diverse. That's where I went to junior high and high school, which I feel very grateful for, actually, even though it was kind of a shock at first. I'm glad that I got to have friends that are from different backgrounds and to understand different cultures. And then as I got older, I actually had the opportunity to travel and see things from even a little bit broader perspective around the world. As an adult here in the age that I'm at, I've actually lived in Hollywood and Inglewood and different places in Southern California, and all of them are a little bit different. But I never really realized that there was such a thing as white privilege because I was benefiting of the privilege. I can tell you that the reason why I believe that there is because there's been so many times where throughout my teenage years and my early 20s, I've been given the benefit of the doubt when I've seen my, friends that weren't white did not get the benefit of the doubt. I have seen people that were not white get pulled over when I was with them, or not even when I wasn't with them. And I remember asking them, "Well, what'd you do?" And they'd be like, "Nothing, Jess. You don't understand. I don't have to do anything to get pulled over. I just could be getting pulled over because I'm black." And I never really understood that. And so, my daughter's almost 17 now. Her dad is black, and he used to be the one that kind of tell me these things, and I didn't believe him. Honestly, at the time, I was, I won't get into too much of understood that. And so, my daughter's almost 17 now. Her dad is black, and he used to be the one that kind of tell me these things, and I didn't believe him. Honestly, at the time, I was, I won't get into too much of his life, but he would get in trouble, and I would say, "Well, stop getting in trouble." Get a job, do something different, stay out of, harm's way, so to speak. But I've just personally experienced the difference between having someone trust you right off the bat, having someone give you the benefit of the doubt right off the bat, versus they don't. And even with being with my husband, it's like, sometimes people accept us as a biracial or interracial couple, and sometimes people don't. And it's like the same people that would be so nice to me otherwise and that would offer me into their home or whatnot, and then they see me with a black man and it's like a completely different, oh, hi. It's weird. I just never noticed it when I was younger because I had no reason to notice it, and I lived in my little Orange County bubble and it was fine. And that's why I think that it does exist, because they're just in my personal life. I'm not going to speak to too much religion or politics or, on a big scale about our government, because I'm not an expert in that. All I'm speaking to is just my own little world and my own little personal experiences of what I've noticed along the way. I'm 100% sure that I've never walked past anyone and had them grab their purse or their kids a little closer, and I've seen that happen to my friends. I have never been just pulled over for no reason. I've been pulled over for doing something I shouldn't have done and gotten a warning and said, you know, I'd really hate to have to write a ticket for someone like you. Don't do it again. Be careful. Have a good day. And then I've been in the car with, you know, 2 or 3 black people and then me, and it's a completely different approach. It's a completely different story. It's everyone get out of the car. I need to know all of your names and your IDs. Where are you going? Where are you coming from? I mean, if that's not white supremacy and white privilege at work, or profiling at work, or all these things I believe kind of tie into each other, but I definitely feel like there's just this huge discrimination. I feel like black people in general and other minorities are underprivileged and are subject to this idea of white supremacy and patriarchy. And so, you know, even for me as a woman, I know that there's been times that I feel like I've experienced some type of discrimination, you know, whether it be in the workplace or whether it just be nonchalant, just kind of like, yeah, okay, sweetie, get back to work. Big boys are talking now, you know, and you know, when I've worked in industries that are male dominated, and, you know, so anyways, I just think that all of that stuff goes together, and I know that I haven't experienced it much personally, but I've seen people close to me who all of that stuff goes together, and I know that I haven't experienced it much personally, but I've seen people close to me who have experienced it, and it's just really, I feel like it's coming from the top down, and it's a really hard thing to change, and I don't know what the answers are other than, you know, I try to always work on changing things from my corner and making sure that I'm not perpetuating a system or a theory or a philosophy that I can't even swallow, that I can't believe in. So whether it benefits me personally or not. So, you know, that was a long answer, but you already know I'm kind of a long-winded person. So, is prison the new slavery? I'm not sure. I don't know that it's exactly the same thing, but I think it's a really bad thing, because slavery was, to me, one of the most horrible atrocities. It's really hard to stomach for me. It's really hard for me to look at and read about and understand. It's hard for me to know that women were raped and beaten and their children were just ripped out of their arms and their husbands were taken and killed, and just all these people. To me, it was like, I mean, these men and women were kidnapped from where they lived, and they didn't do anything really wrong, and then they're just forced into this life of labor and torture, and, you know, you lost of your family, and just totally like abuse and just, you know, emotional and physical everything. Like, how can you even think that that's anything but horrible? And so prison, I don't want to just come right out and say, yeah, it's exactly the same thing, because I don't want to disrespect people who, you know, have been through slavery itself, and say that, you know, someone being put in a cell and given 3 meals a day and, you know, everything like that is going through the exact same thing that this other person went through, that was raped and beaten and possibly murdered and hung and just all this horrible stuff. So I don't know if it's exactly the same thing, but it's definitely something to consider, and it's definitely something that is along the same lines, because you're throwing people in prison, you're getting free labor, you're creating a system that targets individuals when they're still children, to try to throw them into this system, to just, you know, you give them a number, they become a number, you give them a number, they become a number, they're in prison, and they are going to be left in there, and, you know, you're getting all this free labor, and you're making money, and the prisons are privatized, and it's just, if it's not the same exact thing, or the new slavery, it's something just as horrendous in its own way, a little bit different way. I think it has to stop. Again, and even with white privilege, I mean, I could get, you know, in trouble, and they're going to give me a slap on the wrist and probably say don't do it again. But if if you're looking to target someone and they do something wrong, you're not going to give them a warning. You're not going to give them a slap on the wrist. You're going to be like, oh, I caught one. Let me throw him in prison and get him into the system so that he's stuck in there, and then we can use him for free labor. And that's just the way that I understand it. It may not sound very intelligent coming from me because I don't have an education in political science or anything like that, but I see it, and it's wrong. And I'm going to skip ahead to one of the other questions that you asked me, which law, if I could change one, it would be regarding when someone has gone to prison or jail. I would change the laws that make it impossible for them to, for rehabilitation. We shouldn't even be calling these rehabilitation centers or correctional facilities, because it's anything but that. I've never really been in prison, but I've read stories and I've read, books, and I think at least a little bit on that. And I've actually done I do more charity work and than anything, and I've been in prisons for that reason. And I've done prison fellowship ministry and Angel Tree, which is for the families that are of incarcerated loved ones. It is very destructive, and even if the person, there are going to always be people that are really, I would say evil, and they probably do need to be in prison. And there's people that are probably very sick and they don't need to be in prison. They need to get treatment. They need help. But for the people who make some mistakes and they want to get out and get their life back together, there's no such thing like that. There's no correctional, oh, okay, you messed up, but now you're here and you realize that you're missing your life, you're missing your baby and your wife, or you made a mistake, and you take the time that you got in, go to school and get a little education, and then when you get out, you go get a job and you never look back. We don't have that. We have a system that you throw someone in there, they get branded with a number, and they are never going to be able to get a job. You have this box on the resume. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Have you ever even been arrested? Some of them say. There's all these things. I understand why some of it is in place to a point. I get that. In place to a point. I get that. We're trying, it's in the heart of the spirit of it, you're supposed to be trying to protect society from dangerous predators, but they have completely made that to where, they're not just doing the heart and the spirit of the law. They're using it against certain groups of people, and they're making sure that their lives are ruined and that they can't do anything after the fact except continue to get, whatever they need, money or food or whatever, to make a living. You're going to have to do it illegally, because there's no programs to say, let's get you out and you have an entrepreneurial spirit. We joke around all the time, but I think that we say, like my husband and I think drug dealers are like very entrepreneurial salesmen, and the higher up you go, the higher up, it's just a rank and a job. If you know how to organize people, you know how to keep people in check, you know how to command respect and leadership, those are qualities. They may not be being used in the best way, but they're still qualities. And I think that there's so many people like that are just being thrown away and being used up. And when you really don't know the answer, the first thing you should do is follow the money. And when you find out who's making money and who's benefiting from all of that money, therein you will have your answer about who's in control and what needs to change. Are we losing our spirituality? And I think you mean as a whole or in this country. I would say yes, we are. And the reason why I say that is because I think that we're filled with religious folks and religions, but I don't see a lot of spirituality, because I consider myself a spiritual person. I have my own beliefs. That's fine. But when it all boils down to it, I believe in love. I just think that, I believe in spiritual. I believe in the universe. I believe in a creator. I believe in people. I believe in vibrations. I believe that I believe in a lot of different things. I don't think that we have a lot of that. I don't think we have a lot of people who are trying to stick with the roots of being a human being and humanity and our earth and our food and our water and each other. I mean, you have all these religious people that voted for Donald Trump that are of the same belief that I thought I was, but that's not the same thing that I believe, because I would never pick someone like him and trust someone like him to be the president of the United States. It's just embarrassing. So anyways, I said I wasn't going to do a lot of politics or religion, but for the sake of religion and the letter of the law, it's not going to get us anywhere. Unless you realize that it's about the spirit of the law, the heart of the matter, the love behind the spirituality, I think we're going to lose. And we're going to lose badly every single time. All of us. Not just one race. One race may, lose first. I hate to say it that way. But, some of the people that are, there's classism too. And so, it's racism and it's classism. Some of them, sometimes it goes hand in hand and sometimes it doesn't. For me, I'm probably not going to experience racism, but I'm going to experience classism at a certain point because I'm not part of the 1%. I'm not part of the elite. And so all these middle class people that voted for Donald Trump and that you think you're part of the upper crust, you're not. You want to build a wall, and what's going to end up happening? You're going to end up stuck on the inside of the wall and you're going to wish you could get out one day. But anyways, I'm not going to go too much further. Two people that I would like to meet, past or present, and why. This one's kind of a fun one, huh? I would like to meet my biological grandmother because my dad was adopted. And so I'm half Italian. My mom's Italian. I don't know what the other half of me is. I never have, since my real dad was adopted. So I don't know. I'd love to meet my dad's mom or dad, but kind of interested in my biological grandmother just because, I'd love to get to know something about myself that is kind of a missing piece, I guess. I don't know what ethnicity I may hold. I don't know where my dad was born, really. I don't know much about that other part of me. So I'd like to spend time with her and ask her a whole bunch of questions. But unfortunately, that's not possible. But and the other person, I thought of so many different people. I thought of Kurt Cobain and Tupac and all these artists and Aristotle. But I think it would be awesome to meet Jesus. Number one, because I really want to see what he looks like. And I believe in him, so I just would like to meet him face to face. I mean, I know him as much as I can be through prayer and through my beliefs, but I would love to see him and, give him a hug or go take a walk with him and just talk to him and ask him if he could show me things through his eyes. But yeah, I really want to see what he looks like too. All right, so that's all I have. Good luck editing my 20-minute spiel. Thanks, Blake, for asking my opinion. I appreciate your friendship, and I love what you're doing. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon.